Understudy, standby, and a swing. What are the differences? What are they? And why are they so important in a musical cast? Let's Chicle Chat about it.
Chicle!
Welcome to Chicle Chat. It's your boy Chicle, and in today's episode, we're going to break down the difference between an understudy, a standby, and a swing. Because they kind of sound like the same, and they all kind of sound like they have an important role whenever somebody in an actual cast of a musical or a play are unable to perform due to an injury, maybe if they're sick, if they get tested positive for COVID, or if they, let's say for example, if they die. What? The show must go on. On a serious note, we have been hearing these terms a couple of times, and I've been hearing these a couple of times, and I thought they all mean the same thing, but I've learned slowly the differences between a swing and an understudy, and also a standby. And I also have seen musicals where they actually had understudies and swings and standbys, and even in musicals that I do, we have understudies, but not swings and standbys. So when I hear the word swing and standby, I think it's a really good idea for everyone to know the differences and why they're so important in a musical. So, we're gonna go over each one at a time, know what the definition is, and what their role is, and why their roles are so important. So, let's start off with the one we're all mostly familiar with, which is an understudy. Understudy, a performer cast in the ensemble of a musical who is responsible for covering, supporting, or lead roles. So an understudy is somebody in the ensemble, or maybe somebody that's playing like a minor role in the musical, and they're understudying another character role, no matter how big or small the character role is. I actually have seen people actually step in as an understudy when somebody was sick one time, and then we actually had somebody who was tested positive for COVID in the production, and they actually had somebody to come in to do so. And I'd rather keep their names anonymous because I have to respect that. But that's sometimes a thing. And even on Broadway, you'll even have people that would be sick, they'd be injured, maybe that there was like a family affair, like a funeral, for example. So there could be a chance where somebody has to step in for a certain period of time to cover the show, because like we said, the show must go on. Now let's talk about what a swing is. Now, of course, swing is a big word. It's a universal word with different meanings. Swing as in a swing set when you're swinging back and forth. Maybe a swing is a style of dance. But swing in musical theater, this is the definition. Swing, an offstage performer responsible for covering any number on ensemble tracks, as many as 12 roles or more, given a moment's notice if anyone in the cast calls out. So the difference between an understudy and a swing is that a swing is somebody that is not technically in the cast or is an ensemble, but there's somebody that stands by, and whenever something happens, they have to step in and they have to learn their part in a short period of time. It doesn't matter if it's ensemble or a lead role. If someone's unable to dance because they broke their foot, or maybe they got tested positive for COVID, or maybe they had a bad cough and they can't sing, then someone has to step in and know their lines, they have to know their songs, and they have to know their choreography and their specific spacing. So that is why swings are very important. Not to mention, they have to know a ton of parts in the ensemble and possibly a lead just in case. And the fact that they have to stand behind and know everybody's steps, it takes a lot of work because you don't know if you're going to be called in like hours before a show or the day before. Who the heck knows? And finally, we have standby. So what is a standby, and why are they so different to a swing and an understudy? Well, let's read the definition. Standby, an offstage performer whose sole responsibility is to cover a lead in a production. So this is pretty much like the same idea with a swing, but instead of knowing multiple parts in a musical cast, you only have to know one major role, and that's the main lead. But the difference between that and an understudy is the understudy is somebody who is in the cast already, but the sole person is the standby, because if something happens to a lead, a standby would come in and cover the role. They can't cover anyone else because of their look, because of their range in music, maybe they have the same dance skills. that there's a lot of many reasons why. You always got to have somebody on board no matter what, because you got to have the main star of the show in a production. And that's where the standby comes in. Something happens to a cast member, the swing will come in. If someone in the show has to cover for somebody, the understudy will step up. So there's pretty much like that general idea of the differences. Now, why are all these people very important for musicals? Well, with Broadway musicals finally being back after a long period of time, there's still been some cases of COVID-19, so people just have to have swings and understudies and standbys on board no matter what, because they want to be able to cover as many people as possible in case something happens. You also have some people that would just, go off and film some series or movies like Hugh Jackman. So a standby would come in and cover his role as Harold Hill in The Music Man. Or maybe you might have somebody who just broke an ankle and they cannot dance and it takes forever to recover. They have someone that steps in as a swing. I know some people who wore swings in productions from New York City, and they told me a little bit about how important it is to have an understudy and swing. Now, I know that everyone has a dream of being a role in a musical, and people want to be part of a cast. Or if people are being assigned as an understudy or swing, some people kind of feel a little bit discouraged because understudy means like being under somebody and still study their lines and they'll never ever be on stage. So they think of it negatively when they should be thinking about it positively. You also have somebody that is a swing that has to know one part or the other going back and forth. Wow, just like a swing. Who would have thought? So that's why it's very important to have different people in the back who have to be present every time there's a performance, whether they're being called or not, because you never know what's going to happen. Now with local productions, we all are very familiar with understudies because we have small casts and there's usually a couple people that will fill in the roles of those characters in case something happens. So normally it doesn't really happen. We normally never have standbys or swings, but for those that do know what they are, it's very important to have those. And it's very important to know what they do and why it's so important. So yes, you have the main leads, you have the ensemble, you have the dance troupe, you have the supporting characters, you have the stage crew, but the most important people are those who are behind the scenes, who are back over there waiting to jump in with short notice in case something happens to let the show go on. And that's why it's important to have understudies, swings, and standbys, but also to know the differences so you're not like, wait, isn't a swing like an understudy? Or like, is a standby kind of like a swing? Isn't like a swing like the... now you know what it is. And I kind of learned it a little bit the hard way because, doing musical theater a long time and not knowing this, that's kind of embarrassing. But I hope you guys learned something new today. And hey, if you ever audition for a show on national tour or actually on a Broadway stage and you are assigned as an understudy or swing, always remember this thing positive because you're actually going to be there to save somebody one day in case they're unable to perform. And with that, guys, that's pretty much it for today's episode. I will see you guys next time. Peace out.